Hello and welcome to the 180 podcast with Braith and Asta and Reni. We've got a huge potty on today. We're going to talk about all the form teams, the ones that have got the wobbles, which are a bit surprising. We'll touch on Sam Walker and his return or possible return this year, or should they rest him, the Roosters, from that ACL. We may get to Origin and some selections. We had Laurie Daly on the NRL 360, the Origin coach, the other night. And we're going to talk about expansion and a couple of ideas that myself and Reni have got. Let's bring the team in. Aaron Mace and Reni Matua. How's the weekend, boys?
Very good, Braith. Went down the South Coast, mate. We had our local board riders. Spent time down at Bendelong, mate.
Quiet or...?
Fairly quiet, mate.
Fairly the key word.
No. Well, you can't get up to too much trouble down there. You're in bed by 8 o'clock every night.
Hang on. You can get trouble
8
anywhere.
8 a.m. or 8 p.m?
No, 8 p.m, mate.
You can get in trouble anywhere.
I told you,
You got in trouble.
It's small steps.
Baby
steps.
Hang on, did you drink?
I had a few.
Do you remember last week?
Yeah, I do.
He's given up.
I'm not going to drink
I'm not
anymore.
far off it, mate. I'm not far off it. But it was fantastic down there. Beautiful part of the world.
Another AA meeting again.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Got back into surfing.
That's good.
I'm happy, mate.
I've got a new formula.
Yeah.
So I backed my best horse tip, which was Briasa. Give myself a little pat on the
Well
back.
done, well done. Well done.
Well, hang on. Did you tell me about it?
Mate, there's a BTFU chat.
There's
You're
a
meant to
group
be part
chat.
of it.
Oh, there's another group
chat.
is there? Is there a side group?
And
No,
then,
no,
no, it was
no.
actually...
You were too busy on a bender down at Benelong.
We were there. And then someone else has been on fire here. Our man, Faith in Braith.
You know what? I've got to be humble, but I have been on fire. It's been good. I think...
Canberra?
Because Canberra have got me home. They got me home.
You won in the last minute, mate. It's not much to...
When you buy an inch for a mile, as the great Dom Toretto once said.
The horse wins
I'll
by
tell
10
you what, he
lengths
was
or a
pretty
photo.
quick to message me as soon in that last minute as well.
I was messaging you during the game as
Yeah.
well. And then
I
I
was
nearly
asleep.
cursed.
You know what? I was asleep, and I wrote back to you at what time? 4:30 in the morning when I woke up to check the surf.
That's nice,
Well, I
man.
could have been going to bed at that time.
Good story. Anyway, the Canberra Raiders, they got home in the last minute. 4 from 5 this year with my faith in Braith. Pretty proud of that. You got to ride the wave of momentum.
It's actually the opposite to, I think, to the man to me left.
There's
There's only one team I need to back, mate.
Did you play for the Bulldogs?
There's only one team I need to back right there.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But how are you going with your tips this year?
I'm terrible. I just try and go against whatever you're picking.
We should make you the lay of the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe. Whoever you tip, just back the other horse.
Yeah, so it goes back, lay.
Yeah.
All
That's why you used to are degenerates and I'm not a punter.
No, we just know what we're talking about. All right, let's get to the Bulldogs. We have to. Obviously, been two ex-Bulldogs players, but that's really irrelevant right now. They're just on fire, 5-0, first time since 1993, and they won the minor premiership that year.
What did we go in 04?
Yeah,
I think we got beat by the Roosters round 4.
We must have. I don't know. But, the form they're showing, and I'm not surprised, and we spoke about it on the first podcast we had here. I tipped them to make the top 4 or be thereabouts. A lot of people were critical. I'm not going to keep bringing that up, but I did. And here we are. But they got the bye too, which is perfect, into Good Friday against the Bunnies, which is going to be a huge game out at a core, which they're going to get 60,000.
We're going to the game, right?
We're going there. We're going to go
perfect.
to the Chairman's Club. Adam and the team there, the chairman, invited us, so I'm really excited about that. I don't get too many Fridays off, so we're going to get to the game. But I'll come to you, ex-Bulldogs legend, Reni. How are you seeing them at the moment?
Mate, they're really attacking with their defence. Their line speed and their hunt from the inside is really putting the halves under pressure. So you're not the top-notch elite half like a Hughes and a Munster. Your split-second decisions need to be on point, right? So they took Cogger out of the game. They took Kalen out of the game, just purely with their defence. And they just drown you. They play the long game, don't you? They're not trying to win the game early. They're playing to the percentages. I thought Newcastle even defended really well. They scrambled well. But Dogs just forced too many errors. They had too much pressure with their defence, and it didn't seem like a 20-0 game, did it? No. It seemed like it was a lot closer than that. But, mate, they are flying at the moment.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a line break in the first half from either side, so that shows how the defence was. It wasn't the most entertaining first half, but obviously the second half it revved up. The Bulldogs averaging 11.8 points a game or something like that for the first 5 rounds. That's you're not going to lose, or if you lose, it's going to be by a small margin, like we've spoken about. But if you continue to defend like that, they're getting to a prelim if on the back of defence like that. To think that they're doing this without Burton and Kickout, it's funny. I went and got a sandwich yesterday from Tarman where we work, and he's a mad Doggies fan. And it just shows how people think and how fans think. But like I'm talk about the Dogs every day. He's got our premiership team up and jerseys, and he goes to Belmore games, all that. Takes his daughters, and he's like, mate, you know what? Burton and Kickout, when they come back, we don't need them.
It's funny,
and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I'm off the bench maybe. And I said, I'm like, are you fucking for real?
The bench,
but I just agree with him because I can't be bothered, and I'm just there for I want to be positive, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, you could probably play Kiki off the bench, I suppose. In my head, I'm thinking, what the fuck? You actually but that's how fans they don't want to change a winning formula, and they get excited and a little bit carried away. Yeah. But instead of looking at it like, we've won 5-0. The last 2 weeks we haven't had arguably our 2 best players, if not top 4 in the team. And they've got them to come back, but the fans are just so happy, and Dogs fans are.
It just shows how good the depth is, right? So Bailey Hayward and Sexton have been great, but Bailey Hayward in particular comes off the bench, comes into the 6th role. Just does his job. Yeah. Doesn't try and overplay his hand. Josh Curran goes to an edge. Outstanding. No matter where you put him in the forward pack, put him in the middle, put him on an edge, he does a job.
Yep.
Salmon's doing a great job.
Yeah.
So you bring that strike back of Kicks and Birdo with Preston.
Yeah.
They're a dangerous team.
Very dangerous.
Probably on the same level as Melbourne, which I'm sure we'll get to, but...
Well,
you only have to win the game by 1 point,
exactly.
like I said.
Yeah, I think, I'm not blowing smoke up our asses, but we've been pretty spot on with the Dogs this year, and we're not surprised by this, whereas a lot of people are. Spoke to Adam Reynolds and Campbell Graham last night on NRL 360, and I asked them who is the biggest threat at the moment, or who's the benchmark. Both of them said the Bulldogs. So...
wow.
To get that from players from 2 different clubs, premier clubs that are in the hunt this year and top 4 at the moment, obviously the South Sydney and the Bronx, speaks volumes for the respect that the opposing oppositions have for them. It's not just this fairy tale, pump up of the Dogs all of a sudden. It's like, mate, we respect these guys, and they're one of the teams to beat, if not the team to beat, definitely right now.
Absolutely, and you know what? They're hunting like a pack of wolves. Don't even worry about the Dogs of War.
Yeah,
they're a wolf pack at the moment.
You know what it reminded me of, and we spoke about it in the office yesterday, when the Panthers started their run.
Yeah.
Remember anything that happened, if they bash the shit out of a team, they're jumping all over each other, they're high-fiving, they're all in as a group. When they score a try, they're jumping all over each other. Luai's coming over the top, Kick-Out's running in. Remember, and they got criticised for that a bit, Panthers, for being showboating. But it shows the camaraderie and the tightness and, where they're at the moment. And that reminds me of that, and their defence as well.
They're very connected.
Yeah.
They're a very connected team.
Yeah.
And if any team that comes up against them is going to know they played against the Dogs. You're going to be very sore the next day.
All right, let's get to the next best at the moment. Or if, after the weekend, you could argue they are the team to beat the Melbourne Storm. Clear favourites to win the competition, I believe now. And rightly so. Went to Four Pines, which is normally a graveyard, which we've spoken about on here. Probably could touch on Manly a little bit at the end of this. But Melbourne, their spine were on early, and the speed at which they executed and delivered, and the threats from Grant, Munster, Hughes and Pappenhausen, they didn't know where to look, Manly, and in the space of 10 minutes the game was over. It was just bang, 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 and it was really not... Munster come up with 2 big plays, the try assist into the try, then you've got Jahrome with the long pass over the top to the right-hand side. They've got so much artillery, so much speed, and they've got a pack that does their job.
I love the word artillery. They have 3 aces up their sleeve every set.
Nearly 4.
Yeah.
Nearly 4, but 3 genuine probably.
3 to 4.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thought, and their execution of their passing game. is just spot on. You get a ball in the wrong position behind you a little bit, it sort of stuffs up the flow of a play. They're getting it out in front, every single one of them, and they're making the right choice every time with the execution of their pass. Outstanding. And I love the way that Munster went after Olakuatu. He went after, he said, I'm half your size. I know you're going to terrorise me because I'm the half.
Yeah.
And he went after him.
Yeah.
And he did a great job.
Well, you kind of got it right. But you got to look at this. When you look at Melbourne, put yourself in the defence shoes, right? You've got look up and you've got Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen at the back, Harry Grant at 9. So where's it going to go and how do we stop this? You focus on Munster, then Hughes gets you. You focus on Hughes, then Munster gets you. If you contain the 7s and you double team the 7s, Harry Grant gets time and space in the middle and freedom to play however he likes. And you could see in that second half he started running more, Harry. And then, they were just gaining so many metres that then for when he ran, the defence compresses, and then you've got Munster, Hughes, and Hughes had a field day in that second half. Munster took care of action in the first. As this season goes on, they are going to be the clear favourites. There's no doubt about that. They flexed their muscles this week and showed why they are and what they can do when they're at their best. They had that hiccup and they've bounced back from the week before against the Dragons, which they didn't have Jahrome in. And I do believe that I did say that if Jahrome played, I'll go Melbourne. So who'd you tip?
Can I say one? Can I tell you the thing? Can I do the one thing I think brings it back to the pack a little bit? Wet weather. When they hit a dry track, they're just way too fast.
It's funny you say that because in 2010, when the Roosters, when we made the grand final and made that run into the final, we were a dry track team. We had. Jake Friend out of dummy half. We had Pearce and Toddy was on fire, and then we had Minnie, and then at fullback I was on the left edge playing like a 5'8" in the back row. And every time it was dry, we just won. But what happens with that? And it's a great point that you make that psychologically that's in your head. So whenever it was wet, we struggled because we didn't throw the ball around as much. We weren't as effective. Teams could, their speed of the line was better. We just couldn't test our hand like we were. Our style of play wasn't as effective when it was wet. Melbourne have a similar style in that regard. They're a much better team. But and the reason I tell this story is we got to the grand final and we played against the Dragons and we were all over them the first half. Some bad calls from the ref. We should have been 20-0 up, right? And I think it was Morris put his foot over the sideline. They didn't pull that up. Then Gaz scored the next play. We still had a decent lead at half-time. We go into half-time and we hear the rain. So it starts raining at half-time. And I looked around the dressing room and there was a different vibe. And we got out there and we just couldn't play as good as what we could or execute the way we wanted to in wet conditions. It cost us a grand final. If it doesn't rain at half-time, I believe we beat the Dragons that year. So it's a good point that you make, that it can really impact a team. And heading into the final series or a grand final, if it does rain and you've got a poor record in those conditions, it's in your mind. You can't get it out. But mind you, they've got some players in their side that could be future, I don't know, immortals, but greats if they're not now. So they've got they have a strong mindset and they've played in big games and Origins and all that, but it plays a factor.
Good point.
Now, the Broncos, boys, the great Buzz Rothfield said they wouldn't make the top 8 this year, and I'll keep reminding him that. You had them as the biggest roughie of the year too, I believe.
Complete outsiders.
So you've done well then. You've got them at 850. It's huge odds.
Hey, they've almost halved in price. So as a punter, I'm going to give it kudos to
we're taking the
You have done half your job.
You've done a good job there, Ren. I'm being a smart ass. I've got to pull back. No, I won't. But anyway, so the Bronx boys, I mean, the Tigers didn't have Luai, but it was a really good first half by them, and they tested them. But I think just looking at their team, Reynolds and Hunt, they've found their groove. They've got that swagger. Two players that Hunt's played over 300, and Reynolds is about to hit it in not too long, I believe. I think he's close to it, and they've played at the highest level. Hunt hasn't won a comp, should have, and Reynolds has. But you add to that, one of the next biggest things, and a superstar in Reece Walsh, who played his best game on the weekend, I believe.
He was due.
You've got Carrigan and Haas, and they are a team.
Well, if they get it right, they are a team. If they get it wrong, they go horribly wrong.
Yep.
You know, that's where you can pressure the Broncos. And I go, this is...
It's like the Manly sort of thing, right?
It's like a man... yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
But if you pressure that side, they can crumble. You can get some joy. But they are
You
great.
think they're a bit vulnerable then?
Vulnerable, yeah, for sure. Because, you know, like Reece hasn't set the world on fire, like we just said.
No, this was his best game
This was
so
his
far.
best game, but he could still improve. You know, I think he just needs to slow his tempo down sometimes.
Yeah.
He's just one speed, and he attacks the line, he gets after it. But you get Payne Haas going and Carrigan, like you said, and they're a hard team to
But
stop.
I think that's also, Ren, you make, like, that's a good point, but they can win still without one of their players not on. You know what I mean? Like, Reece hasn't been at his best. They've still been getting it done.
Yeah.
Now, imagine he finds his best every week, but then they can afford for maybe Reno or Hunt to have a bad night because then they can cover that. I think what you're really saying is that, and it was the same question, Mark, we had over Manly, is the underbelly there. And I think that's why, and they've been that way over a few years now because, you know, and I think we've also spoken about, you know, the one team town, the pat on the backs, whether you're winning or losing up there, and that inability to kind of have that base that the Dogs have got and that toughness and resilience, you know. And I think with Brisbane, that's why Madge Maguire was the perfect fit, because he is one that is going to instill that resilience, toughness, and that mentality where every week you need to turn up and you've got to turn up for your mate. And they've trained hard. They've done their army camps. So as the season goes, they're only going to get better in that area.
Yeah.
But it's definitely still, they're not there yet.
Yeah,
you know?
it'll take 12 to 18 months to get rid of that last bit of that soft underbelly. Like, Madge ain't going to just turn it around
No.
and run pre-season. There are signs of it, but there's still signs of last year as well. You know?
No, you're right, mate. You got something to say there, Az?
Ezra is very close to being allowed to play again. Where does he
Mate,
come
he hasn't
straight
even
back?
been spoken about. There
He
you go.
hasn't.
Yeah, no, he's a huge inclusion, given that Renault's got a potential hamstring injury now, and that was just kicking for goal. You know,
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Was
No,
before
no.
that?
It was reported that, which is
Right.
what you say. You're right, but we interviewed him last night, and he actually did it earlier on in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did it, and he's playing this week. So he did it early on in the game, and then he's sort of aggravated with those kicks, but it wasn't that kick. But carry on.
Well, you lose. Just say you lose Renault for a couple of weeks. You bring Ezra in. Wow.
But is that when you bring him in?
No.
Or
I
do
think
you disrupt, like,
there's
'cause they've-
definitely-
I think you'd even consider resting Hunt and Reynolds at different stages throughout
like
the year
that.
because,
I agree.
you know, you've got Ezra there. It ends up being perfect because these guys, as I just mentioned earlier, they're one's 300 plus, the other one's not far away. It's a long season, you know, and mate, give him a week off. Bring Ezra in, then you give Hunt a week off. Bring Ezra in, you know, play him at 14. I don't know. That's a decision
start
for Madge.
playing with it.
Yeah, then you kind of mate, imagine having him at 14.
What a luxury to have. You got Ezra as
Yeah.
another backup.
Well, people
And
always-
Origin's coming up, you know. It's so well, I mean, Hunt, they'll pick him most likely off the bench or that switch with Harry, and then they've got it covered. They've just put Ezra in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. But one thing we didn't talk about, probably quick on this, but just something for people to think about. Jahrome Hughes is after his game on the weekend. It got me thinking, and he's off contract next year, so he can actually negotiate November
From
1.
November, wow.
Now, we spoke about the artillery and firepower they've got, and they're all big game players who demand a lot of money, especially now that the cap may go up, but with that Dylan Brown signing, you know, every half now in the game is looking at that, and I know that for a fact. Every half's going, well, if he's worth that, I'm worth this. Now, I've heard already that Jahrome has got a bit antsy and itchy about his next contract, and I don't blame him. He's off. He got Dalian Player of the Year, and when you get to the back end, you want to capitalise before you retire. Not that he's close to it, but like you want to get as much as you can, set yourself up and your family up. You start thinking a bit different to what you have early on in your career and definitely mid-career. And I don't know if Melbourne will have the money to pay him what he's going to demand. So it's going to be very interesting at the back end of this year, especially if they win a comp. Jahrome could get 1.5 anywhere. You know, who knows with PNG and coming in, he could get more if the cap goes up and etc. So Ooh,
Who is on the most money there at the moment? Money?
they're all similar.
They're all
This is
similar.
what Melbourne do great.
Yeah.
Like Cameron took 400 less to stay there.
Yeah.
Then go to that's a year.
Yeah.
To get probably
Yeah.
300 to go not to go to the Dolphins
Yep.
because they were going to pay him 1.5 on the books.
Wow.
No, not on the books, but like without third parties
Third
and stuff,
parties,
like just straight up.
What were you going to get on the side?
I'll just get my percentage, mate.
What do you mean? It's a charity. I've been.
Yeah, well, don't start that, please. I've been writing back to messages all week. I don't want another week of that. All right, fucking
Continue.
You nine ball. That's all I need. I haven't slept. All I do is sit up and talk.
Yeah, I
to
know. It's been entertaining.
Talking to the
watch.
fans.
Talking to
I've
the
just been
fans.
sitting on the sideline watching
Yeah,
it.
that little kid from Brisbane, with
Name
his
and
wallaby
shame.
wallaby jersey on, little Greek kid. He was calling me
don't
a
give him
greedy
time.
pig.
He'll-
I wanted to slap him in the face. Anyway. Yeah, where were we?
Yeah, so Jahrome
Jahrome,
could
so,
command that for sure.
You know, so to give everyone an example, you've got, and they're all off at around a similar time. So you got Jahrome, perhaps only signed a 1 year, I believe, or wouldn't be more than 2. You got Harry, Jahrome, and Cameron off nearly identical time, and you've got to, so and if they do win a comp, they're probably likely to be thinking, you know what, maybe it's time. I've got my competition. Do I now go for the money? Because you could be signing a 4 or 5 year deal in your early 30s, getting 1.5 a year. You're set, right? So it's just food for thought. But I reckon it'll really amp up this as the season
Well, they
goes.
got beat by the Dragons when he didn't play, and he comes back early from a
Exactly.
broken hand, and they do really well.
Yeah, and it's just something to think about there. But let's talk about some teams that have got the wobbles. Let's start with Penrith. I don't think any of us could have predicted this. What are they, 1 from 5?
Like Reni. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you got one. Have you got
I
one?
don't know. Dogs.
No, I
yeah.
think he found
Dogs
one.
every
Yeah, he did
week.
tip the dogs.
You did 1 week when they were
So,
$1.20, I think.
Yeah.
So
That's the only team I need to
I think you
tip.
tipped them when they had the bye. I know that's this week. No, so Penrith, we kind of, everyone in the game thought at some point this may happen. Not sure what we thought this year, but I think we even spoke about how vulnerable they are with the lack of depth there now. How you seen it?
I didn't expect it to
Yeah,
be
okay.
this bad for them.
Well, that's right. You've tipped them every
Yeah.
week.
Well, I mean, they showed against. Well, they won the first game. Who was the second game? Was it Roosters?
It's taken the shine off the Roosters' win against them, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
it has, hasn't it? Yeah,
But
true.
every week they seem to be just declining more and more. I don't see the improvement,
Mm-hmm.
And defensively, some of their defense has been alarming, and it's very unusual for me to see.
Yeah.
They do get Edwards back this week, but I don't know. I'm really just confused about where they're headed.
We'll probably talk more about it in the preview that we have later on for all 8 games. But
Can they miss the 8?
No, they'll make the 8.
Definitely.
In my opinion, yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, what's could be worrying is Origin.
Thank
The
you.
Origin
That's where I was
period.
about to go.
When Yo's out, Cleary's out, Edwards is out. Given they all get picked,
Yeah, they do.
and
They're
there's
straight in.
3 games they miss. There's 6 potential points they miss.
It's very good.
They used to win those games.
Unless there's a
with
buy around
kids.
there.
They did but they had more depth too, though.
Correct,
but they
that's
did
my
have
point.
like,
They used to win some of those games.
But just something that I've had on my mind with what I look at them, and I think I said it earlier in the year, but Blaze Talangi got a massive rap on him.
Same.
And I thought they should have been playing him at the start of the year and put him at 6 early to get him, blood him early. Even if you think he's not ready, he's got Cleary next to him. He's got Isaiah Yeo there as well. You've got Edwards at the back. Let him learn his hard, tough lessons early on. He's got X factor. Australian schoolboy. They poached him from Parramatta. He'd be easily in the Parramatta starting team. And it was actually, we were saying, it was bad for them to let him go last year, given the circumstances Parramatta are in. But it's a mystery to me. There's something that doesn't add up to me. Even the only game they've won. The game they lost against Melbourne in Melbourne that they nearly won. Cleary went off after 8 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Talangi comes on as half. He ran for 50-odd metres. He had a try assist. He made 20-something tackles and missed one, right, in the game. They were this Bees, you know what, from winning that game. That's the only game he's played, isn't he?
Yeah, and they actually looked really good
Is
with
he
him
been
on the
getting
field.
named every week?
Not every
Maybe
week.
on the extended, maybe.
On the extended.
But so he's just to say he's starting at 6 this week.
Yeah, I know, but for me, it's like, well, okay, about time. Why hasn't he
there was
been
no
there?
report of an injury or a
Nothing.
niggle,
The reports
nothing?
coming out from all the journos were that he's just not. They don't want to rush him. He's not quite ready yet. Well, you're 1-5.
Yeah.
You know, and now you've got all the pressure on. The drums are beating, and for the
you put him under
time,
more pressure.
first time in 6 years, they're under pressure, and the kid comes in and he probably feels a bit of it too now. But that's just again something that I just don't understand. I don't understand that one, and I suppose we'll see how he goes this weekend. Hopefully, he kills it, and we'll talk more about how we think they're going to go in the preview. Let's get to the Roosters. Sorry, me as well. But I mean, I don't live and die by it like you. But
Well, he's got the
Well,
Raiders.
you got two teams.
I've got two teams. Yeah.
You've changed hats this week.
No, same one.
Oh, the Roosters
Yeah,
has
the Roosters
on.
have.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, I did.
He's jumped ship.
Yeah, I've got my Bulldogs jersey in the car as well.
I was going to wear my Tigers jersey, but anyway. The Roosters now. I mean, they're struggling. They should have beat South on the weekend. They were in a position to beat them. South lost both their halves and winger.
In fairness, we only had one half on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there. Poor Chad.
Well, what's your thoughts as an old half of the club? What are your thoughts on
I said it on 360, and I've been critical of them this week because I think they've got their recruitment wrong. You know, I think I really do, and I've been disagreeing with a lot of their decisions for a few years, and I've voiced that. I'm a fan. I want them to do well. I love them, but I'm not going to shy away from telling it how I see it. Like, you know, I don't want to go down the Brandon Smith path again because I was the spokesman for that because I was the only one that was critical of that move at the start. And quickly, I love him as a player, and I think he's a great player, but I don't see him as a 9. I see him as a 13. And at the time, the Roosters needed a genuine 9. That's what they needed. They let go of Verrills. You know, they needed a 9. That's what, and they thought that was the right decision. I didn't. It wasn't. And now they've had to go and let go of him that may cost them money or not. And now they've bought a genuine 9, which is a great buy in Robson, but it shows that they got it wrong. Like it really does. And then, you know, that they shouldn't have bought Chad Townsend. I don't, you know, again, he's been a great player over the years, won a premiership there. Did he won at the Sharks? And he's played really good up at the Cows, but his time's come to an end, you know, and that was evident last year. But they still paid him a few $100,000 to come down. I don't care if you're going to play him in reserve grade and he's a stopgap. Why? You didn't need to do it. Savala's playing this week, and you got Rodwell and you got up some other kids, and you know it's shown that it was the wrong call. You know, even though it didn't cost them a lot of money, it's cost them. You know, it's probably cost something developing another kid or giving a kid another shot, and it still cost you $300. You know, like
who made these calls? How much is Robbo? Is his input into recruitment? Who is head of recruitment?
Robbo's got his eyes all over everything. You don't worry about that. I don't want to name the recruitment because I feel like I don't like going down there. But we'll put it this way: Zemet, his dad's really crook apparently, and he stood down from the role yesterday and went back to North Queensland.
Okay,
to look after his dad.
But this is a 2 to 3 year issue. It's not just this year.
No, it is. But Robbo has his eyes over everything. I know that for a fact. You know, everything.
He's got to take some responsibility in this for sure.
Yeah, and then you know, it's a bit harsh to question the Suoliti and the Manu stuff because they just left. And Jared, I don't know the Jared situation. I don't know if he wanted to go or if they didn't. They said, listen, we're not going to give you any longer. Maybe you go because that often happens at the back end of a career, and you don't hear anything of it because there's a respect thing between the club and the player. Mm-hmm. But I don't know the inside info there. I know he's playing at Hull KR at the moment, and they're undefeated with Willie Peters there as the coach who's flying. So I know he's doing a great job over there, but I don't want to comment on that because I don't know the ins and outs.
They do have some good kids coming through.
They do
up front.
But, and this which leads me to my next thing. So they've got Walker and Smith out with their ACLs. I think it's 9 months. Round 12 this year will be 9 months.
Round 12.
Round 12. I had a disagreement, a heated disagreement with Brent Reid on Monday night's NRL 360 because he thinks that they should rest Sam Walker for the whole year and not have him come back in round 12.
You and journos are just not getting along these days, are you?
Mate, that's life.
Hey,
That's life.
Reedy would have your measure as well, I think.
Oh, God. I reckon me and you should go.
What, Ron Burgundy versus
Mate,
Reedy?
all this shadow boxing that you do and hitting the pads in the morning, I want to see evidence. Anyway.
Need evidence.
I heard Driscoll pump the shit out of you this morning
he
too.
got me this morning.
No, seriously though, like I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I don't know. Do you want me to go into the reasons why I think it's the dumbest thing ever?
I want to know your thought. What's your thoughts?
No, if the way I saw that argument, I thought it was if they could hypothetically not make the semis, just say it's after round 18 and he's
no.
Right. So if they can't make the final,
story.
just say they can't make the finals, he got 6 games to go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play him.
No, yeah.
8 games to go, I wouldn't play him.
Yeah.
Maybe even 10.
Really?
I wouldn't play him.
But how do you know if you're not going to make the 8 when you've got 10 games to go? And you've got Walker and Smith coming back into the team.
If they can't make the semi-finals...
Yeah, but this is what I said to him. You're not Nostradamus.
Well, I agree.
Evidently from
you got to think, Braith. There's 40% chance of him re-injuring that ACL.
Tell me the last bloke who did his ACL on return.
What do you mean?
Well,
so would you go to the casino and put 800 grand on red?
I would never do that ever. Anyway.
Well, that's what I mean. That's rolling the dice.
Oh, you think they're rolling the dice? What's the rolling of the dice? 9 months, 10 months? What's?
I'm just saying there is a high chance of him re-injuring that ACL, if not doing it again.
If they bring him back early, you mean, or just in general?
If they bring him back early, or even bringing him back on time.
But what I'm saying
there is a high risk.
Who's the last bloke that we've heard of that's come back from an ACL who's redone it straight away?
Well, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It has happened, and I can't think off the top of my head.
I know, but now they look after these
Kyle
players.
Stanley. He did it like 2 or 3 times when he was at the Dragons. He was a young prodigy. He just came back, did it again. I'm just saying it can happen.
You're really clutching at straws.
I'm not really
brother.
clutching at straws. It's actually statistically.
It's not a common thing though, Reni.
It is statistically.
Yeah.
Ask ChatGPT.
So
it's a 40% chance of young athletes
bloke I know, Reni, last
doing
week,
their
he won
ACL
Powerball.
again. 40% chance. That's pretty high risk.
Where's the 40?
Where's the 40 come from?
You're sounding like Reedy.
Athletes re-injuring or young athletes.
Okay. I'll put this argument to you, all right? Regardless.
Okay.
You've got $1 million player, right, who's paid to play rugby league.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's a huge setback as it is the ACL. Huge. But then you don't play out the whole season. Now, the whole thing about an ACL is it takes time, right? Even when you come back, confidence-wise, ability to move, get yourself into games. You've got 9 or 10 rounds, right, to ease him in at the back end of the year, regardless of where they're coming, so that he gets footy in his legs. It actually builds his movements and his ability to move, agility, all that sort of stuff. It gets him feeling the ball again because you lose your touch over a 9 or 10th month period as a half too. Even where you catch the ball, you feel, you pass, your kicking game, everything. Why would you waste an extra 2 or 3 months when you could have him, you ease him in, you play him the back end of the year. If there's a concern, okay, well, there's a concern he's not feeling great. All right, then we can ease up on him. Then he goes into the preseason flying, ready to go with 6 or 7 games under his belt. And then he starts the year, next year, round 1, back to his best. Now, you got to think about that as well. And you know what? You know what I think about too, Reni, before I come to you as? I think about Trent Robertson, the coaches these days. They're under huge pressure. They can be sacked at any given moment. Like, if they don't perform at a powerful club like the Roosters, put yourself in his shoes. He's got 9 rounds to go. He could possibly fight to make the 8, but he's going to rest his $1 million player. If they just fail and fall off a cliff because they don't have him and they finish last or second last, all of a sudden he could lose his job. So, like, it impacts a lot of other people.
Yeah, but he's your marquee $1 million player. unless you're completely
But
confident.
what do you pay for $1 million player for? To sit on the bench?
It's an ACL, Braith. It's a major injury. You got to really.
I need to ring someone.
You need to look up the
I'm ringing
risk and
someone.
reward of bringing him back, if it's worth it or not.
This guy's going to be very happy with this.
Can I ask you a question why he's ringing?
What?
So I've always said if you do an ACL, it's an 18-month injury because you've got 9 months of physical
I know where you're gonna go
and
with this.
9 months of mentally getting comfortable. Because in your head, you psychologically label that as your bad name.
Pre-seasons are hard enough. There is enough opposed sessions. There is enough contact for him to gain his confidence in a pre-season. Bringing him back for 6 dead rounds might be detrimental, and you've got 40% chance of redoing it.
Okay.
It's not go to the casino and put 800 grand or a million.
Wait.
I don't
20 to 25%
No,
chance.
that's wrong, mate.
Hang on. Chat
Hang on,
GPT's wrong.
we've got Dr. Reni Matua
There is
over.
a chance
We've
of
got
him doing
Dr.
it
Reni
again.
Faintua. He's calling the shots over here. Let's ring your mate up because he'll be happy. Brent Reid. Let's see if he answers.
I said if they can't make the 8.
It's like Lloyd Christmas, and it's Dumb and Dumber. Eh? What's the other bloke's name? Harry.
Harry.
Lloyd and Harry.
Everything
Harry
Braith
Doon?
says gospel.
I'm going to Lloyd.
It's all gospel.
You're Harry. Or you can be
I'll
Lloyd.
call you Jesus.
I want to know if 40.
Jesus,
I'm saying
Henry.
20
I reckon
to,
he knows because he's not answering.
So you saw 40%.
No, it's not 25%.
He's searching for the 40. You watch next week, you'll
It
find
says
it somewhere.
20 to 25%.
We'll see if he rings.
No.
I'll put
What
my-
did- what did you- how did you
Combined
look for it?
studies, I said, if they to do
There's
an
a
ACL.
chance of him doing it again.
There's a chance.
chance.
So would you
But
go,
don't they say that's
So-
what Lloyd says too?
There's a
Just
chance
so
of
you're
me-
seeing there's
so
a
would you
chance.
put $1 million on black?
Oh, this reference to casinos, man. What are you,
Why?
where are you
It's
going?
the gamble.
I'm getting a headache, man.
All right.
All right, you
Let's
know
move
what,
on.
Reni?
Let's move
Let's
on.
agree, disagree.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just very strong on it.
Well, yeah, okay. Let's move on.
I'm trying to get the only bloke in New South Wales to back you up. But I
Really
can't even
don't
get him
answer.
because he's
Wait,
hiding.
you say he's your $1 million marquee player. One part of that is about bringing fans to games.
Just get him in the bloody corporate box and sign an autograph and walking around the stadium.
Oh, we'll move on.
Look,
We'll move on.
it's
If Rudy rings here, I'll.
If
My
he's ready, he's
favourite
ready.
part of that whole thing was ChatGPT is wrong. It's 40.
If he comes back round 13 and redoes it, then
Yeah.
we're revisiting this conversation.
Oh, mate, we can revisit it all you like.
Okay,
Yeah.
And if he gets through
You know
the whole
who-
season, he's better
He kills
for it
and they
next
make the
year.
8.
Yeah,
They go on a run.
yeah. And you know who we're going to.
Actually, I hope he comes back because Reni's form at the moment. We're a chance.
No,
Go against whatever I say.
We'll make sure we cross live the Kyle Stanley.
I'm with
too.
you, Reedy.
Okay. Have faith in Rudy. All right, now the next one. I think we'll go to expansion, eh? Yeah, we'll talk some expansion. It's because Perth have apparently the Bears in Perth has been squashed. Yeah, this was an interesting one. I'll give some detail on this. So they apparently the PNG team, the government Albanese, $600 million to the NRL. With that, they can give the clubs straight away financial help, and the 17 other clubs. They agreed to it because obviously it's financially beneficial, and I love the game. The game, prioritising globalisation and all that sort of thing, and growing the game. And from a financial standpoint, they're buying assets now. The game's as strong as it's ever been. So that's where we stand with PNG. Now with Perth, I believe it was a lot less, and I think it was around 120 or 30. That's don't take that for gospel, but I think it was around that, and it just didn't. It just wasn't enough for that move. And being a shrewd businessman, Volandis is strong, and I love the way that he thinks, and he's always thinking about the game and the growth and all that, right? So, but I don't think we go into that too much. But I'll come to you, Reni, on your thoughts around expansion and some possibilities around who, where, what, and how it looks like, because they are still looking for another team.
Yeah, I think the latest news is there is a bid for a Mana Pacifica team. So that'll be based in Auckland, but will go to the Pacific to find players. I don't know. It's a fairly new story, kind of like what the Super Rugby have done. Artie Surveyor, who's the All Black captain, has gone and played for that side. It's not a bad idea. I don't feel like the Perth venture is going to work. I think we just stick to the East Coast and then move into to the Pacific, because you got the silk tails. I was talking to Driscoll this morning. I think there's 120 schools in Fiji that are doing rugby league programs, or there is a lot of talent in the Pacific.
Oh, there's heaps of talent.
Yeah, plenty of talent. I just think you're not going to get the same talent pool in WA as you are in the Pacific, so it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, and again, mate, I think you're right. You're spot on with this. It is a no-brainer, but the only issue we've got, like, I think I'd rather have a team in Fiji, Samoa, or even wherever. Like,
Well, that's just combining.
Combine whatever. Yeah. Like, I think it's a great idea. Like, again, it comes down to dollars and cents, though, for the NRL. Like, I think they looked at Perth as the government was pushing it in Perth and corporates. So it's about the dollar.
All right. Well, why did Albanese give 600 million for the Papua New Guinea side?
Yeah, this is political.
Well, it's to keep China out.
Yeah.
They want to keep China out of the Pacific as well. So why wouldn't they?
Let's not get too political.
Well, it's just fact. Yeah. That is fact, is that they're trying to keep them out of the Pacific. So they'd give another 600 million.
So you think...
Well, they're already given 60 million a year.
But that's good then. That presses what you're saying. That means that they will have they can possibly generate the funding.
They can.
Well, if that's the case, mate, then that's good. I think it's a better idea than Perth.
Yeah, I think it's so
too.
Yeah.
Perth can always still... Yeah, the Bears is a hard one because, I don't think they'd be successful in Perth, the Bears, but then they played 7 or 8 games in Sydney a year that would be massive, because all the fans...
They've got a huge fan base.
They've still got a huge fan base here.
Well, they should make the Bears the Pacifica team.
Oh, yeah, they could do that.
What I mean?
No, they could do that. Yeah, they could do that. Yeah, that's a fair point, you mate. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good.
We'll see. It's all developing now. There's a few stories that came out, but
yeah, I like it.
I just want to backtrack for 1 second because ChatGPT.
Oh, we're going back.
I've had to ask it. It says unless the Roosters, because I said what would you do, and what would you do unless the Roosters go on a hot run and are pushing for finals? Walker is absolutely flying at rehab. I'd give him the year off. Come back 2026 stronger, smarter, and own the 7 jersey for a decade.
Thank you, ChatGPT. Thank you.
How does a computer come up
and
with
then
that?
it goes, what would you do if you were Robbo? Question mark.
Have you seen their draw the next month?
I haven't.
It's not that bad, mate.
No.
See, if we're going back there, Reni put a line through them. And I'm like, how can you put a line through them? Like, everyone's talking up south. Premiership contenders. Roosters should have beat them on the weekend. But you've got a line through them. They're gone for the year. They're not going to make the finals. Mate, I think they've got 2 or 3 teams. We looked at it last night on 360. They can win. I think this week, is it this week? Who they got this week? Brisbane.
Brisbane up there.
Yeah, let's be realistic. They're not going to probably win that. But we did say that when they played Penrith. But I can't see it happening. But after that, you may have it there. There's a bit of a run where they can make the finals.
They play Panthers at home.
You can't go against AI, mate.
Then they've got the Dragons at home. They've got a good home run for a little bit.
Can we just even on a the AI thing?
What?
I don't know if it fits in with a discussion around rugby league. Let's be honest.
No, I don't know. It's pretty.
If we're going to keep crossing the AI, we're doing a podcast. I don't know.
We said 40%, 25%.
Yeah, we can find out otherwise. Let's move on. Origin teams, boys. I don't know if. Listen, Laurie Daly spoke to him the other night. He said he's not afraid to make change. Said he wants to pick in-form players, and if they're not in form, he'll be ringing them, calling them, telling them that they need to be playing better, which will be interesting for him because, coming off a winning series that Madge did so amazingly well with, there is an element of pressure straight away. You got pressure on you as a head coach regardless, but because of the job that Madge did, even the way Madge took on Queensland and Billy last year, I loved. The passion you could see from Madge was inspiring as a fan, let alone a player. Laurie did say he's not afraid to make change. He insinuated that Cleary would be in the team. What I did get from it is that he talked up Moses' kicking game in his series last year. Didn't really mention Luai.
I saw that.
I believe that he's probably leaning towards Cleary and Moses in the halves, and Luai at this point may miss. That's from just my read. Not sure if you want to comment on that, but in terms of selections, who are a must? I know it's early, but what do you guys got for us here?
Mate, I just want to talk about a smoky. I think the best left-back rower in the game is Preston, Jacob Preston. And I think everything he's doing and his form, he's he's got him ahead of Crichton slightly. And if he's not afraid to make change, or I don't think Crichton's that out of form. I don't believe he set the world on fire. But Jacob Preston, on form, is the in-form back rower in this competition.
That's what the test's going to be, again, is that if you're going to pick on form, that's good, and Preston's probably the one, right? But does he make that call from a team that just won a series, that's going to be so hard for him. I don't envy the position that he's in.
You could argue that Olakau'atu's been better than Liam Martin.
Olakau'atu is a
Liam
beast.
Martin on the right edge. Last year...
You got to pick Liam Martin.
You have to.
He's one of those Origin players first picked.
Well, this is my argument. If you pick Liam Martin at starting right edge, Olakau'atu, for me, is a wasted bench spot. He has to be starting. You saw last year the biggest mistake
Didn't they do that last year, though?
In game 2, he put him on in the middle and they exposed him.
Yeah,
and then he got dropped for game 3.
He's not a middle.
He's either a starting edge player or he's not in the team.
Munster burned him on the week. That's his thing.
He did.
When he gets a bit tired, as much as he's a beast and so effective with the ball, that's his weakness. Is when he gets tired, he's a bit low, slow laterally.
Effort on effort. He got done. He
Spence on the bench.
Mate, what's Origin made of, mate?
Yeah.
Effort on effort.
Yeah, Spencer Leniu, he's the best bench. Coming off the bench, he's the best at it.
Yeah,
because that is
even the Roosters have returned to doing it.
It's an art itself coming off the bench.
Reni, sorry.
Did he? Let it go.
We've let it go. Let
it go. Spencer Leniu is an outstanding bench player because it is hard to come off the bench. You're coming into the fire and you don't have that second win. You're expected to lift the intensity, and no one does it better than Spencer Leniu. Like Braith said, the biggest thing that Laurie's going to come up against is whether he's going to be loyal or pick on form. He said he's going to pick on form, but loyalty has to come into play.
Do you know what I want to see from Laurie? And this is just... When I interviewed him, I wanted to just... I know he's passionate because I know what he's like. And as a player, he was an Origin great, and I loved him. He was one of my favourites. Clyde was my favourite, then it was Loz. And he was in the same position as me. I was only 6-7 years of age or whatever, but in Origin he was an Origin player, and that's why he's where he is now as a coach, right, at the Origin level. But I asked him a few questions, and I wanted, because I interviewed Madge last year, and when I interviewed Madge, I felt it. I was like, mate, this bloke's the real deal. He's going to get these guys up. He means fucking business, And when I interviewed Loz the other night, he was great. Interview was really good and gave us the answers. But I kind of said, mate, what does the New South Wales Origin jersey mean to you? And he answered it, and it was a good answer. But I asked him that because here he is, Reni. Should we take it?
Yeah, just take it.
Reni.
What's doing?
Mate, listen, I had to call you, right? We're on the potty. We're on the podcast.
Oh, no.
But this is good news. This is good news.
I backed you, Reni.
What's that?
You've got one bloke who agrees with you. Reni Matua. He thinks...
He's always been a good judge, Reni.
Yes, Reni.
So are you still sticking to your guns on that one, Reston Walker?
Well, it depends when he comes back, Braith, and where they are on the ladder.
Agreed.
Yeah, you conveniently overlooked my suggestion that it depends what they're coming at that point of the season. But if they're out of finals contention, I'm sticking to my
But you
guns.
said that you actually said they won't make the finals.
I did say that, yeah.
You stand by that?
Yeah, why?
I stand by it. I don't think
Reni's with you,
bro.
mate.
I'm with him.
You've got a supporter here. I'm trying to look
I'm
after
with
you.
Reni
After.
the whole
I
way.
appreciate that.
I thought you held your own the other night too. I was impressed because
Didn't you give it to me the next night, though?
Yeah, because you weren't there. See?
I wasn't on there.
I threw the slipper in when you weren't there.
Oh,
did.
No, that's your job.
No, but you know what? I had 24 hours to think about it, and I had about 10 other points as to why you should bring him back. That's all. I went on.
Mate, my point was, if he's back at the end of July,
Yeah.
let's say, for example,
Yeah.
end of July, early August, there's only a month left in the season.
Yep.
Why would you bother running him out again if you're out of finals contention?
No, see, that's different. That's different, right? If it's only a month, Reni, it's different. But if it's because didn't Teddy say round 12, like what we spoke about last night? Is that?
Yeah, but I'm sure that's the optimistic view, right?
Yeah.
Because every Crawls was saying they might keep him out 12 months.
Yeah, but that's off that.
Why would
That's
you
off
bother?
the what is he? The physio that's on Instagram. You know, like what's his name? The rugby league physio. Yeah, no disrespect,
What
but
does he know?
I'm listening to my medical staff at my club, not Instagram. You know what I mean? Reni's been going to AI in here.
The point is, it depends when he comes back.
Okay.
Like, he's back- just say there's 6 weeks left in the year.
Yeah.
And they're out of finals contention.
Yeah.
I still
Agreed.
wouldn't bring him back.
Agreed.
Thanks for joining us, Reni. You know what? Are we sweet?
Yeah, we're good as gold, mate.
That's I like. You know, I love you, mate. You just like having a bit of fun on TV. You know, you just got to go toe to toe.
That's all right. It's all fun and games.
Stick
It is.
solid, Reedy.
I don't have a glass jaw.
Well, you and Reni, you know, you've got similar.
My boy Blue.
Reni's a very intelligent footballer.
That's it.
He's very intelligent as a player.
Yeah.
He's changed in retirement.
I agree with you. He's not a good tipster though. He's 1 from 5 to start the year.
Well, this isn't tipping. This is forecasting.
Okay. All right. I'll let you go, Reni.
Worrying about Sam Walker's long term.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Dr.
Good on you,
Reni.
Reni.
I'll see you next week. See you, Doc.
See you, dog.
Oh, where were we?
Origin.
Yeah, well, Origin. I get what you're saying in terms of Loz's, maybe his lack of passion, but it's been his demeanour his
Yeah.
whole life. But
Such a good bloke.
But who's the bloke next to him?
I've got one other question.
Who's the bloke next to him? Who's the bloke next to him?
Craig Bellamy.
Bennett.
There you go.
I heard you. I thought you were talking to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And that's all
yeah,
you need is
yeah.
the passion to come from Craig Bellamy. You only need to look at Craig Bellamy and you shit yourself
Yeah.
in, you know?
But so if you get given the keys to drive, why are you asking for a passenger to help steer? Is my question. 'Cause Madge wasn't like, hang on, I need some training wheels here.
He had assistant coaches, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he did. Yeah. I get your point there, Mace.
Do you know what I mean?
It's an interesting one to sort of bring one of the greatest coaches of all time in over the top.
Because he had an assistant coach, Bellier.
No.
No. That was
You
shit.
know the thing too. Bellyache, you know, he's got Munster. You know,
Yeah.
like
Strategic.
he's got Harry
Harry
Grant. Like he's got there. Will Bellamy go into camp and give away their
weaknesses. Yeah,
or
that's a
their
good point.
vulnerabilities? Like I, if I'm Bellamy, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing the
because you
job.
know who you're giving them to also.
The other
Nathan
players.
Cleary,
Yeah.
Isaiah. If Preston goes into camp, you're
Yeah.
given information on your best players that can jeopardise you winning a competition. So how much is Bellamy going to give to Daly?
Yeah, I think he would have
Turn
had
left,
that.
turn right.
He would have had that
Maybe he's
conversation.
he
He would have had that conversation with Laurie that he's there to get the players ready, focused mentally.
But
I'm
not
giving away
not
game
tell them
plan.
where the opposition's weaknesses
No,
are.
I don't think he would.
Oh,
it's a
mate,
very,
it's Origin,
it's a
brother.
very difficult. Yeah, but
It's
I think,
Origin.
I'm sure he loves Melbourne more than he loves the Blues.
Why put yourself in that position?
Because he's there to mentor Laurie into preparing the team.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know he's there for the.
But it is an interesting one, right? You
Yeah,
know, like
the
it's
game
it's a-
plans.
mate, you can look at it so many different ways. Whereas it was so less complicated with Madge. Madge rang every. This is what he did last year. He rang every ex-player and went and took him for coffee. And I sat there with him, and he threw the Blues jersey. I was sitting there going, "What the fuck's going on here?" And he goes, "What does that mean to you?" And I went, "Oh, you know, like I was." And I went, "Oh, mate, it was everything, you know." Like, you know, I went through what it meant to me. A lot of blokes got emotional because it means a lot to them. And then he's like, "Mate, are you on board?" And I'm like, "I'm on board." And then, mate, I was on. I'm like, this bloke means business.
Yeah.
And then I'm on 360 pushing there. I'm pushing him, man. I'm pushing the team because I'm going, mate, I looked in his eyes. He's on. He's going to get them ready. And I bought in like that.
Yeah.
And every ex-player did and every player did, and they won the series.
And the fan, you know what every fan said? In Madge we trust.
Yeah.
How many people are going, in Loz we trust?
Yeah, no, but you know, Loz is in that position because he needs to earn it now. And that's he knows that too, though. Like he needs to earn it because he hasn't had the great record, but he took on that team that was invincible, right? So he's had excuses.
It reminds me of my warm up in 07 as 18th man.
Mate, talk us
I
through.
just bought in. No, we've told this
We've
story.
told this story on here.
We have told this
Oh,
story before.
mate, talk about a distraction before an Origin game. I've
Who
got one of
does
my
that?
best mates there.
Who
fucking
does that?
Gigging me as I'm about to run out and play an Origin game.
Wow.
All right, we'll quickly hit on the referees before we get to the preview. Let's not be too long on this because it's been, you know, we spoke about it last week. quickly, Ren, what was your
I
take?
just would have preferred if they kept it in-house and weren't transparent and let it simmer in the media, and then they come out, there's 80 sin bins. If they just kept it in-house and didn't put the video refs or the referees under this kind of pressure, we wouldn't have been having this much conversation.
I think I argued, but just sort of seen the different side last week because I like them being transparent.
Yeah.
Actually, while I'm here, a mate, a friend of the show who we spoke about last week did an article on the weekend suggesting that the NRL give shows like NRL 360 a rundown or information as to how they want us to talk about them. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Just to clear that one. Yeah. So,
You've
rubbish.
ticked that box.
What we do is we talk to the NRL so we get their point of view. They don't care which way we go, you know. And if you watch our show, we press a lot of their decisions and what they make. But as we want to know exactly what the rules are, why they've made these decisions, and they want us to portray, at least give the viewer their opinion and why they've made these decisions. So there's clarity and there's a bit of, you know, you can get the NRL's point of view across, and then we have ours. But we certainly don't have a run sheet or are directed or dictated by what the NRL do. But yeah, bringing back to that. So I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. Direct, forceful. You're gone if it's direct and it's forceful. But then it just, the waters got murky when, you know, moderate force. You know, the Tungor one was terrible. The Robson one was a shocker. 2 howlers. You could argue the Hudson Young one, you know. But I don't think we jump all over them and kind of throw the toys out here. I think we see what happens this week. And there was always going to be a bit of a reaction and maybe a couple of, you know, overreactions. But as long as it doesn't continue.
It just they've created this headache themselves because the game was flying. It was going great.
Yeah.
They could have just left it to the match review committee to go back through it.
Well, Crawley had a good one last night. He I don't want to go too long on this, but it was like, unless it's a send off, don't let, you know, unless it's a send off, don't give anyone 10. If a player goes down, send them to a HIA. If they're ruled out for the game, then you go out and you take the player off for 10, or then you get
unless
judged.
you know it's a suspension.
That's right.
Then you get sin bin.
That's right, because then that dictates the forcefulness.
But then you're putting them under so much pressure to make a decision. I think that'll get 1 week or get 2. Who make them the judiciary all of a sudden?
No,
so
I think it's not on what they would possibly get. It's more on the player. If the player is injured and can't return, then that player gets. He
gets right. That's good. Yeah. I got a quick other angle because I was listening on the radio. A couple of old players were talking about rewarding the defenders for tackling with only 2 players. I don't know if you've heard any about this, and they're saying that the reason the head contact's coming in now is because there's always 3 in a tackle, and that's the way in which they hit stick.
The game is so fast.
I think it's stupid and impossible.
If you got Payne Haas coming at you, I want 2 of my teammates to help me every time.
And the offload.
I don't know who you're listening to.
So, what radio station?
Hang on, boys. Yeah, no, I'll stay out of this. Just 2 when you got Payne Haas footwork, 6'8", and he's weighing 120 kilos. Yeah, Ren, you stay out of this one. We'll get rewarded for 2 of us.
Well, you listen to Kyle and Jackie Owens.
Can I tell you though? I'm not going to name who they were. There was a couple of old greats talking about it, rewarding, and I'm thinking it's important. Imagine Olakau'atu. Like, I got 2 here. He'd have 2 hands thrown it.
Yeah, there's got to be common sense in our game, and that's my thing about everything. Like the weekend, just common sense. Like 2 of them were common sense.
Yeah.
You know, have our rules in place. Use your brains. You know, like
that's what you're paid to do.
It's
come on, how much they're on as well.
300. The referees, the top referees are on 300 to 320.
Make better decisions.
But, you know, and another thing we said is that why not have the top referee ref 2 games a week?
It's a lot of
maybe
Ks.
Thursday and Sunday. Mate, you're running 7 or 8 Ks.
Like 16, 17K a weekend.
Yeah, 5 days apart, plus 4 days apart. You know.
Yeah.
Get to the gym. All right, let's do the preview.
Righto, Steve Monaghetti.
Steve Monaghetti.
Laurie Christmas.
All right.
Preview.
Into the
This is where we get
preview
it all wrong.
on one end.
I'm just going to tell you my tip, and that's it. No breakdown.
No, we need breakdown from you. All right. Actually, let's start with you because
Well, you
this
know
is
what?
one of your teams.
Before we start, we've spoken a lot about the team, so we don't need to be as long here. Let's just hit them hard and quick. Let's go.
All right. Go to Suncorp Dolphins against the Panthers.
will bounce back this week and get their second win of the season.
I was about to tip them. Honestly. Do I follow the Reni curse?
Oh, it's
Go
brave.
against it. Go on.
Well, the one thing
I think they will too, but
Blaze Talangi back in.
I think they'll win. But just because of Reni, I'm not going to tip them. That's just the truth. There you go.
Dolphins.
All
There
right.
we go.
When
Let's
they
move on.
played it on Thursday,
That's Thursday night
I'll
game.
be getting text messages
Hey,
tomorrow night.
I'm gonna drink a
Jeez, I'd
bottle of
laugh.
red too. I'll have my
If the
bottles of
Dolphins
red.
win, mate,
Dolphins will start?
the messages you'll be getting. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, we go down to the Gong, St George Illawarra, $1.53. Gold Coast Titans, $2.52.
Speak English, mate. This is a hard one, right? I mean, where was it again?
Down at Wollongong.
Dragons Zoo?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going with the home team and Titans.
Well, the Titans just were they were terrible on the weekend. The
Horrific.
Dragons, like, if you peel it all back, yeah, they got it wrong again. They did similar to what they did against South. You know, Lockie come up with that bad play on in extra time for Lomax to kick the field goal. But if you actually peel it all back, they've lost 2 games they should have won,
Yeah.
and they've lost by a point or whatever
They
it
are
was.
such a frustrating team to
They are.
support. Like, if you're a
They
fan
are.
of the Dragons,
I'd kill you.
I'd kill you.
They've lost the unlosable.
They should have won 3 games with a bye this year. You know, should have, could have, would have. But at home, let's be honest, they're down in confidence because that shows by the inability to finish off games. But you'd like to think they'll probably be too good at Wing Stadium.
I'll stick with the home team.
Yep.
Young
All right,
Aaron.
we go up to Brisbane. I will be there to watch out Hugo Savala in the 7. $1.18. Brizzy, $4.90 the Chooks. Can we get an upset?
Brisbane.
Breezy. And good luck to Hugo.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing him play in the halves because I couldn't visualise it because when I saw him come on as a back row and then he moved to the centre, his utility,
So
I'm like,
tall.
he's 6'4". I see him in Coogee.
Big
Good kid. And I thought, I can't visualise him at 7, so I want to see it. I'm really anticipating that.
And
He'll
he's a
end up
goal kicker as well.
He'll end up in the back row one day, surely.
Yeah, I lock it
you reckon?
back row, yeah.
Oh, being 6'4".
He's only going to get bigger. He hasn't even filled out yet,
Yeah.
I reckon.
I never filled out.
Big things coming for him.
Cronulla Sharks at home, $1.49. $2.63. Manly away from 4 Pines and no turbo.
Nah, this is all in Perth.
Oh, sorry, it is in Perth.
Yeah.
Miss me,
That's
Joe.
over in Perth.
Miss my assignment.
You got
Nick.
one job at the end of the show and he can't even get it right, this bloke. Double header in
over
Perth
there.
and he's talking about 4
I'll
Pines.
tell you one thing with the Sharks.
said away from-
Fitzy would have been very disappointed with his right edge in that last play. To be the inability to scramble and get
man.
across field to try and shut down that play. There was not enough Sharks jerseys in the picture to want to win that game.
Yeah.
Great point.
If you took a photo
Yeah.
of the frame,
Remember I
yeah,
screenshot
you
it
did.
and sent it
You
to
sent it to us. And the hungrier team won.
Yeah, you're right.
And you could see Reni on their back weighing them down as
Mate,
well.
I was at home, right? And my daughter was asleep next to me. And I had it on KO and I had my pods in and I'm like this and I'm like, yeah. And she jumped up like this and I went, oh shit, woke her up. And
I did get your message in the night too. I saw her right back to you at 4:30 in the morning.
it was like I'd won a GF. It was a really weird feeling.
All right, we
This is a tough
stay at Optus Stadium
There we
for
go. He's
South
back.
versus the Cowboys.
He's back.
We have the
Who did we pick
prices.
there? Sharks.
Oh, I didn't actually pick anyone.
Oh, you didn't
Yeah.
pick. Sorry.
Ah.
He's a bit rattled after
Sorry.
that intro. Who was it?
Sharks, Manly.
Manly.
Oh,
It's a tough one. Eh?
oh, Manly. I think we've been right about them as well this year. I'm going to go the Sharks. I think there's a lot going on at Manly. And after last week, although they were in that match, though, for a long time. You know, like even they bounced back after Melbourne went bang, bang in that first half with Munster and Hughes. And I haven't loved the Sharks, but I've just got this feeling the Sharks are going to be a bit tougher and ready for the battle and hardened and play a style that may wear Manly down, and Manly just get a bit impatient. So I'm going to go Sharks.
I'm going to stick with the Sharks.
All right. We stay there. We go South Sydney Rabbitohs 2.10. We've got the Cowboys $1.74.
This is tough too, mate.
And
Is this up there?
It's in Perth.
Oh, it's
And
in
can
Perth
I
as well.
say...
Does anyone listen?
Does anyone
Does anyone listen?
What are they doing in Perth?
No, now it's a double header off the stadium.
Oh, right.
Jeez, look what I'm dealing with here.
Trell Mitt, number 6. We've got Sullivan and Latrell, 6 and 7.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like, so both of them were rocks and diamonds last week. You know, more so Latrell. So that's. It's not a combination that it's kind of you don't know what you're going to get, but they're both electric. I mean, Latrell's a generational player, so we know what he can do. Bud has always had huge potential.
Definitely.
You know, come through the under-19s, Origin, 17s, all that system, schoolboys. He just hasn't translated into first grade, transformed that form into first grade. But he made that break on the right-hand side, pass back into Gray, which was a game changer for South on the weekend. So it was a big play. He'll take a lot of confidence from that. You know, it's an interesting combination. This is a tough one. But the Cowboys have found form. They got more stability in key positions, and they got a bit of confidence at the moment. Can South do can they do it again? You know, I've full credit to them for doing what they have, but I'm going to go Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cowboys.
Going Cowboys?
Yeah. A bit tired, I think. Reni's...
Yeah.
Where's that game again?
Well, hey, they've almost thrown us a
I'll
wobbly here.
tell you one thing with South. They have grossly overachieved. Like,
Yeah.
this year. It is like disgusting how much they've overachieved, and good on them. But I'm just looking at it, just going, how are they doing this?
Wayne Bennett.
Wayne
Bennett, of course.
It is Wayne Bennett.
Crazy.
It is crazy what he does.
All right, we've got a para home game up at TO Stadium,
Oh,
Darwin.
now we're in Darwin. Did you hear that?
Yes, I've got that. So there you go.
Playing?
Para, $2.86. Canberra Raiders, $1.43.
Raiders, no Zach Lomax.
Yes,
Zach
Paul
out.
Lomax. Yeah, just broke his
Saw him
foot.
this morning.
Broke his
Cinders
what?
Moses, no.
Oh, no.
No, 4 to 6. Come on, mate.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're a doctor.
Yeah. Fuck off. All right, we've got Melbourne Storm back at home, $1.15 against
Melbourne.
New Zealand Warriors, $5.50.
Melbourne. Move
You know
next.
what? Hang on. Warriors have a good record against Melbourne. in
Okay,
Melbourne.
tip the Warriors then.
I'm going to go Warriors.
Okay.
And we finish
That's my
off
bet of
with
the round.
Oh, no, don't do it to yourself.
the cliffhanger. Newcastle Knights $1.62, West Tigers $2.31.
That's in Newcastle.
It's in Newcastle.
Remember the Tigers just got on the first round in Campbelltown?
Yes, they limped. So the Schiller he'll be missing.
Yeah,
Saifidi will be out.
definitely. Is
It
he?
is
Was a
Yeah,
great one. Oh,
Savidi's out, Hetherington's out, Adam Elliott.
Hetherington's out. Elliott's out. I'm
Yeah,
going Tigers.
Jade Cogger's out.
I'm going to go Tigers too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know what? They could be your faith in Braith, I think, again.
Ooh,
They
he's
get
going with
Tiggies.
it.
They get
Yeah,
Luai.
Tiggs.
They get Luai back.
They get Luai back.
Yeah.
And I thought they were pretty good against Brisbane
Yeah,
that
I thought
first
they were
half. You know
too.
what? That's the
Yeah.
faith in Braith right there.
Faith in Braith.
Yep. Tigers.
And what are you
What's
doing?
my segment called?
Lemon.
No.
We've got to get. No, let's ride with Ren.
Ride with
Ride
Ren.
with Ren.
Lay of the lemon, maybe.
Ride with Ren. I said I'm going the Warriors for a huge upset.
Yeah.
There we go.
What
There
did
you
I
go.
pay?
$5.50.
Lloyd Christmas
go.
is loaded up on the Warriors.
Why is it Lloyd Christmas?
Dumb and
Dumb
Dumber.
you and
Oh,
Reedy.
yeah.
And you and him, only two on the bike to go see Sam Walker, you know. And Walker's there next to you, is hobbling with his knee brace. on.
freezing.
You said you were a chance.
Also, they wanted $1 million. See you next week, boys.
Oh, good
That's
show,
all right.
legends.
What are you prepared to lose today? Set a deposit limit. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.